Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm pretty excited today. I've got director Morgan Elliott with me. So welcome, Morgan.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, so we've got to talk about Potty Town because we were talking off camera a little bit about it, and it's such a crazy, hard to believe story. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you into the entertainment business? You know, what made you want to do that?
I've always been interested in stories. When I was in high school, I acted, did some theater stuff, and thought I maybe wanted to do acting. And I don't like being in front of the camera, honestly. So even this is hard for me sometimes. But no, I just always I knew that I wanted to tell stories somehow.
Yeah.
So I went into, I did like TV video production in my undergrad years, and then I did a creative writing MFA degree at Boston University. So, I liked literature, I like film, but I just, I knew I did a lot of DP work too. I was like doing a lot of lighting and
right. Well, it's useful skills to have.
Yeah, you understand how everybody operates in their roles when you actually work in those roles when you go to be a director. So that was nice. And then I felt like it was time for me that I learned enough to do a story, and this one was there. It was just kind of like in my backyard. I'm from this area, and I started interviewing people, and it just snowballed from there, became this film.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Have you written? I know you've done some directing. Have you done some writing as well?
Literature, short story stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really have much published. I do it mostly for myself, but that's not very lucrative.
Not yet. You just never know.
No, exactly. So, but no, I have plans. I have written stuff. It's just nothing that's been produced yet. But
yeah,
I look at all the work I've done up to this point as like, working towards something bigger, and hopefully this will give me the confidence to do a little bit more and go from there.
Did I see that you did some work on the Tecmo Bowl documentary?
Yeah, I'm working with CJ Wallace and Mallory Kennedy. We were just out in Nebraska shooting the world championship, I guess it's considered, of Tecmo Bowl, and those guys are great. They're amazing. I've never played myself, but like everybody knows, Bo Jackson is like,
well, that's what I was going to say. Is the world champion the guy that got to play Bo Jackson?
No, that's how good those guys are. That's how good they are. They know how to stop Bo Jackson, and
that's impressive.
Yeah, if you say you're going to play with him, I guess they know how to shut you down immediately.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just Bo Jackson. I mean, he was lined up next to like Marcus Allen, and the Raiders were loaded in that game.
Yeah, but I think the winning team was I can't remember, maybe the Seahawks or the Vikings. Somebody.
Yeah. A lot of people, and I'm probably one of them, would say that's the best video game ever.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know a ton about it, but I was doing a lot of the camera work for CJ. Okay. So it was cool for me to get to learn about a lot of that stuff, because I'm a 90s baby. So I kind of like just missed that whole Tecmo craze.
Well, that's when we were playing. So I was in college, late 80s, early 90s, and that's when we were playing.
Yeah.
That was right in the and it was like, I don't know, 8-bit or something. It was
yeah, that's what it is.
The graphics were not good.
No, even like when I was playing like Game Day 98.
Yeah.
After that, you look back now and you're like, holy.
No, it wasn't great. Well, and you've probably even seen the clip where it'll have Bo Jackson. He'll go all the way down the field and then turn around and go all the way back, and then turn back around and go all the way back and score the touchdown. And it's just, he's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So if they're stopping him, all right, that's pretty good.
They're good.
Is that one out yet, or is it still coming out?
No, I know it's on the way. I think sometime in the next year, but I know he's pretty close to finishing that. So
that's exciting. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I bet there was some characters that were interviewed for that documentary.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's with that sort of documentary, that's what it's about. It's the people that you get invested in. So yeah, it's definitely character driven.
But they actually have a championship, like a league that somebody or
yeah, like it coincidentally,
a competition.
The top like 3 players in the world all live in Omaha, Nebraska. So, and they're all buddies, they're all friends. So like they have this event and all these people come in and then they just destroy everybody. It was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to just follow those guys around and see what else they do. Well, when they're not playing.
I think.
Yeah.
In the film. Yeah.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great. Okay. So we got to talk about Potty Town. So I'll let you give kind of the background. What is it? What's the story about? It's a documentary. It's I don't know, to me, real like when I first read about it, I was like, oh, I got to watch that. That's really interesting. But then, like I was telling you off camera, part of me was like, how did it get that far? Why did they get, figure something out? But tell a little bit about the story. What's the documentary about and what is Potty Town?
Yeah. So Potty Town, the film is a lot of different things. It follows a protest. It's a, kind of like a man versus government sort of film. It's a film that talks about what constitutes art, are these toilet displays, are they junk? So we dive into that. And then you have a lawsuit too, that kind of follows the First Amendment rights side of the story, freedom of speech, Visual Rights Act. So it's those 3 things. But how the story started was Hank Robar, this landlord, older gentleman from Potsdam. He wanted to have his land sold to a Dunkin Donuts. And the village wouldn't let him. He was
for a bunch of money. It wasn't just
a lot of money. Yeah. And up there, I mean, the film dives into it, but this particular town in New York State, the taxes, it's like the worst village to live in the state in terms of being taxed, because 70% of the property is non-tax property. So if there's like churches and government buildings and schools.
So they really hit the ones that they're able to hit.
Exactly. Everybody, that 30% is pulling all the weight. So he, if where you can make money, you got to take advantage, and they wouldn't let him. And it was, Hank felt that he wasn't treated fairly, that they were treating other people. They were allowing other people to rezone their properties and not him. So that's how it kind of started. And it was a protest, but it really evolved into this strange phenomenon. He started putting these toilets out, and it became a debate in the town. Like half the people loved it, half the people hated it. And then the village went after him, and it went to court a bunch of times. And
I mean, how many toilets are we talking about?
Over the years, there's hundreds of toilets, because he's had toilets vandalized, like dozens of toilets vandalized. So he's replaced them. And I'm honestly not sure how many are out on the properties right now, but it's got to be close to 100 or more.
I'm guessing that people, once they started hearing about it, did they start donating toilets to him?
Oh yeah. And in the film, we follow the guy that donated, and after the film came out, I've heard people saying now that he's gonna have more toilets than he knows what to do with now. They're all gonna bring them over, but he's got toilets in the back too, like backup toilets already. So if he hits one with a lawnmower, he can replace it.
Well, how old is Hank now?
I think he's 83 or 84 now.
So he's been at this for 20 years or so now.
Yeah, 20 years. And I was saying to you off camera, like, that's what's most impressive to me about the story is like his stubbornness. People don't, it's like, it's easy just to give in, and it's like, is the fight really worth it? But he really felt like the fight was worth it and wasn't going to give up. And then of course, like people started to enjoy the toilets as time went on. It became a part of the community. And then people were like, you can't, at one point the village came in and said, we're mandating this toilet removal, and people freaked out. There was a petition with tens of thousands of signatures. You can't take out the toilet. So it really became a community issue. And I wanted to make the film about the community too, their identity and the reactions there.
Why originally did the town not just let him rezone? What was the reason behind that?
So, they said that lot right there, that the traffic would be all backed up if they put a Dunkin Donuts in there.
Okay.
But like across the road, there's a burger joint, and then there's a Chinese place. So there's already, the way it's zoned is weird. There's like a little B2 zone that juts out, and that's where he sits on the corner.
Right.
So he could have like a doctor's office there, but they weren't going to let him have a bigger business like a Dunkin Donuts. And then they built it right up the street later on. So and then of course there was a village board member who lived next door to that property where he wanted to sell. So that there's a little conflict of interest maybe, and he felt that was the case.
Well, that's usually what happens when you're dealing with kind of the small town politics. There's somebody is like, no, you can't do that. But then they do something that makes it at least seem like, well, maybe there is a little conflict there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happened here, I think. But
do you think the town, if they could go back 20 years ago, they'd be like, okay, put the Dunkin' Donut in?
I think maybe now, because of the I don't want to spoil anything in the film, but like, the way things turned out, I think maybe there's a few people on the village board now that were on the village board back then 20 years ago. So there's a little bit of consistency. There's also some new people who I think are a little more open to the toilets than those incumbents were. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
So what kind of reception did you get from the town side? Were they, kind of upset that you're doing a documentary, or are they like, okay, let's get this story out there?
I can't say for sure, because they really they refused to talk to me. So, and I haven't heard, the film's come out now, and I was curious what the reception would be locally. It's very small town up here. Everybody talks, it's like high school. And so, but it's honestly been overwhelmingly positive. People have been,
it's a good film.
Yeah. And they're really, they feel like things were portrayed fairly, which was one of the things that was important to me, to make sure all the sides were represented. That was harder because the village wouldn't participate. But I asked them multiple times, and then I actually had one interview set up with the village historian, and I told her, I won't ask you about toilets. I just want to know about the history of Potsdam, because I thought it might play well, setting up the story. And she agreed to it. And then the village administrator came in and said, no, she can't. And,
I mean, that type of, on the city side, they're thinking there's no way that this is going to turn out good for us. There's no way we're going to come across looking well in this situation.
Yeah. And there was another documentary. It was like a true crime documentary that took place in Potsdam a couple years earlier. And some of the village officials or police officers that participated in that film, I don't think they felt like they looked very good, or they were portrayed very well. And I think that maybe made them a little leery of being in any of those films. So I think that might have been a part of it. But I think also a lot of them don't want to give Hank any publicity. So they didn't want to participate.
Yeah. So at some point though, the toilets have been vandalized to the point that he sued the city. Is that what happened?
Yeah, the lawsuit wasn't over the vandalization of the toilets. It was over, they passed a law retroactively targeting his toilets. So they came in like years later, like they were like, oh, like we have a new idea to get the toilets out. 18 years later, they're like, okay, we're adjusting our junk law so to say that you can't have bathroom fixtures in your front yard.
Yeah,
So,
good luck with that.
Yeah, so right, so he hired a lawyer, and I think they thought maybe they could bully him a little bit, but he was like, "I'm not backing down. I've done it now for 18 years. We're gonna keep this thing going."
So is that case still in court, or did it get finished? Did it get settled?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to give too much away because
that's right.
Like
we don't want to give away the whole movie, because it's definitely worth a watch.
But yeah, it's the court cases come to an end, and there's been a decision rendered, and so things have kind of quieted down with the toilets, I think, until this film came out, and then it's like
I think as far as protests go, this is probably the most unique one that I've heard, because he was like, all right, no Dunkin Donut, here's some toilets. But then he's just stuck with it for 20 years.
Yeah. And it actually started as he planted corn first. That was his first protest, because he said something like, if no one, you could have smelled the fresh smell of donuts in the morning, and now instead you're going to smell shit. So he spread the manure, and he had the corn growing, and the deer were coming into the village and eating the corn. And, it was harmless. But then somewhere along the way, he can't even really remember, but he got the idea for the toilets and went from there.
Well, like, you're watching it, and I mean, he's got plants and stuff in some of them, and a lot of it, it's almost turned into artwork.
Yeah, it's we definitely explore that in the film, and I tried to not let my own opinions leak into it. I tried to just keep it. I would ask community members, what do you think it is? Is it art, or is it junk, and what kind of art? All that sort of thing. And they had different answers and interesting answers. Some people talked about Dada art, which is like an anti-art movement, which I thought fit that sort of thing, because they didn't do it necessarily for the beauty of it. They did it as like an anti-establishment thing, which really fit into what Hank was doing. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that's really. Do any of the toilets actually work? He got him plugged into water somewhere?
I know at one point he's told me he wants to create a toilet fountain with water going out of.
That's what I was thinking. Was that seems like it would lend to that at some point.
Yeah, I think that's coming. Maybe he had to get his water hooked up at one of the lots, and then he was thinking about that. But for now, it's mostly fake flowers he has in there, because he's got a lot to upkeep. And then once in a while, like, a tree will grow out of one of them. So you get nature taking it back a little bit.
Does he do all the upkeep himself, or does he have people helping him with that?
Mostly himself. I think over the years he has had people help him when he painted the garage, and some of the mowing and weed whacking. But now that he's retired, I think he does most of it himself.
So has it had any negative impact on his life?
He's a pretty happy-go-lucky guy, so he kind of brushes things off. And when I told him about the film, I said, there's going to be people in this, just so you know, that don't like you and don't like what you're doing. And he said, well, you're going to have that with anything in life. You can't have, nobody is going to agree with you 100%.
Well, that's a pretty good attitude with it.
Yeah.
Does he still get along pretty well with the people in the town? I'm assuming he does.
Yeah. He keeps to himself, but people drive by and they give him a honk, and he gives them the thumbs up. And there was one story where, and this isn't in the film, but the hardware store next to his toilets put up a big digital sign, or they had a digital sign, and they put a message that said, "We don't see art, we see tipped over toilets." And so the reporters came and they were like, "Hank, what do you think about that? Are you not going to shop at the hardware store anymore?" And he was like, "Nah, that's fine. I don't care. I'll still shop there." So that's just how he is.
Is he doing tours, or is it just a kind of drive-by and look type of thing?
No, it's a drive-by, but he's perfectly okay with people going and interacting with the toilets, taking pictures, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of that, like on Facebook, if you search Potsdam Toilet Garden.
Yeah, it comes up.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Anything like during the process of making the documentary, anything that surprised you, anything that came out that you weren't expecting?
Oh, anything I wasn't expecting. I don't know. I don't think, I mean, some of the story, some of the stuff that behind the scenes with the zoning, like I guess it was just stuff that I didn't really know, because when you grow up here, you know the story. Like everybody kind of knows bits and pieces, like, oh, you wanted to put the Dunkin Donuts in, but I didn't know the full story. Like all the stuff with, you know, the Kinney Drugs pharmacy he wanted to put in, and they wouldn't let him do that either, and kind of the mistreatment that was going on behind closed doors. So I didn't know about a lot of that stuff. So that was probably the most interesting to me.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking, you told me there was another instance of this in Maine where it wasn't it also a Dunkin Donuts they were trying to put in, and he wasn't able to do it. So he also put toilets out for a little while.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like an identical, it's like the multiverse must have like overlapped or something. And we've got two guys in the Northeast, and they both were protesting a zoning decision for a Dunkin Donuts establishment with toilets.
I mean, at this point, should we be looking into Dunkin Donuts? Are they intentionally doing this?
I mean, Dunkin wanted to be on these properties, so I think they're just kind of like I don't know, a casualty or something about that. You know,
did you get to talk to anybody from Dunkin?
I did not. I did reach out to some people, but they didn't really, you know, they're a major corporation. They're like, we don't have time for this. But I did reach out, and then in the film, you know, Hank takes a visit to Dunkin at some point to do a little celebration. So,
oh, that's pretty great. That's pretty great. Yeah, I was curious about that. Does he actually shop at the Dunkin that ended up down the street?
No, I don't think he doesn't drink a lot of coffee, but he did. He was all for going that one day when we went. So
yeah, it's to me, it's as I was telling you, it's a little bit hilarious. You know, there's some humor in it, but then you just at some point you're just like, how did it get this far? How stubborn does everyone have to be not to just figure it out?
Yeah, exactly. I asked, I think everybody I interviewed, you know, why. I asked them that very question, and they didn't really have a good answer. You know, some of them said, I don't know why they couldn't have met up over coffee and kind of hash it out without having to bring lawyers into it, and maybe found a compromise. And Hank said all along that he was willing to, you know, his door was open. He was willing to talk. So I don't know.
Yeah, it seems so strange. So how long did it take you to make the documentary?
I started filming it actually like 5 years ago. I just did some interviews, but it was on my shelf for a while because I had some other things come up. And but when COVID hit is when I actually jumped back into the project.
Really?
Yeah, because I had some free time. I would
have thought that would have slowed you down, but you actually used the time.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the very few films that the pandemic benefited, because, you know, up here, it's just like, Hank, we got a lot of people who don't like to be told what to do. So a lot of people didn't want to wear the masks. So that, you know, we were still doing interviews, but we were careful. We wore masks, and then when we got to the interview, we stayed 6 feet apart. But yeah, that's when we started plugging away then. So it took about 2 years from that point to get it all edited out to the distributor and then ready to go.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Is this your first like feature length directing?
It is. Yep. This is I never thought my directorial debut would have to do with toilets, but you know, you play the hand that you're dealt.
Yeah, it seems like, honestly, it seems like a segment or a skit that you would see on a show like John Oliver's, you know, Last Week Tonight. It seems like something he would get into.
Yeah. Well, you know, from your lips to John Oliver's ears, let's hope maybe, you know.
Yeah,
I
it does.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And like Vice Media did an article about,
Nice.
called "Let This Man Keep His Toilets," and and then there's a few other big publications. It's on Atlas Obscura. So this is known nationally. It's just not like mainstream known.
Yeah.
But
Well, it will be
out
now.
there. Yeah, I hope so. And if people want to come visit the toilets, I think it's a good thing for Potsdam. Because once they get to Potsdam and they see the toilets are fun and it's interesting to see. But Potsdam's got a lot of other great things going on too. So it's like you get there.
He needs to turn into like a camping ground. Let's let people camp right out there with the toilets.
Oh, I'm sure they would too. Yeah, you don't need an outhouse.
No. So the movie came out when? Tuesday,
the film released. It's on iTunes or Apple TV, Amazon Prime, YouTube rentals. So we have a website, pottytowndocumentary.com. And if you go there, all the links are right there. So you can go and watch.
Yeah, it's a good website. You did a good job on that.
Yeah, that was all CJ. So props to him.
Yeah. It's not easy to have an easy to navigate website. It's well done.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we hope people check it out. I know like people around here it's like potty mania right now. Like everybody's talking about it. So everybody's watching it. We actually got up to number 13 on the top documentaries on iTunes.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's just in a couple of days.
That the first day we were up to 13. So yeah, we're sticking. Yeah. We're still like top 20 or something right now. So hopefully people keep watching and enjoying. And I do hope that once everybody up here sees it, it kind of our range expands a little and we get out to other areas of the country.
Yeah. I think you will. Because it's such an interesting story and people love documentaries.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? What's your next project? Are you still directing, or are you moving to a different part of filmmaking, or what's coming?
I'm doing a couple of things. I'm working with CJ still. I'm shooting some of his document. He's directing the Tecmo Bowl and some other. So I'm working with him. I've got small projects around here. I have like a production company, so I do like commercial.
Oh, very nice
videos. But yeah, I do have a few projects lined up that I'm directing too. So they're very early stages, but we're excited. Couple ideas. There's one that explores kind of like the strongman world. I met some guys down in North Carolina, and but it's kind of it's not investigating, but it's highlighting some of the strongest natural men in the world. So it's not an anti-steroid movie necessarily, but it's looking at, some of these guys are like insanely strong and they hold world records and they've done it completely clean. And
I know, it's amazing.
They're not well known because they're overshadowed by the guys that are all juiced up. So that's one project I'm working on. And then there's another one about the state of sportsmanship in America and refereeing, because I actually referee myself, and we've seen a real decline.
I was going to say refereeing is a tough job, especially if you're doing with the the younger kids, high school and down.
Yeah, it is. It is. And when I joined my board 10 years ago, my refereeing board, we've lost half of our referees. And it's mostly because of bad sportsmanship, and it's getting bad where we can't even cover the games. So I think somebody needs to tell that story.
Yeah, I would love to watch that one because, we've all been in those situations where you've had an irate parent that is just making it miserable for everybody. And you're, I don't know what you do to stop that, but it does seem like it's gotten worse. Over the year, we never seem to have any of the worst things we had when I was growing up is you might get a parent fussing at an umpire that was like, for balls and strikes at a baseball game. I don't remember ever really seeing anything at basketball or football, but maybe a baseball game arguing, balls and strikes. But now you have physical confrontations with
all the time. I've had them myself. I was doing an AAU 6th grade basketball game years ago. And I had a grandfather try to fight me on the floor. He came up, put his nose right to mine, and was screaming in my face. And it's crazy. I know you mentioned like, how do you deal with it? There's one guy in Ohio, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he started a Facebook page and he said, I'll pay you $100 or $50 if you send me videos of parents misbehaving at games. So he started, and now he's got a big following. So these parents, like, they don't want to get embarrassed in his hometown, at least. So like now everybody's shut up because they don't want to end up on his Facebook page looking like an idiot.
Well, he's curtailing it, so maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, Morgan, this has been terrific. I thought the documentary was really well done. You did such a good job on it. Not easy, like not taking a side. I think just to give the story and not to lean one way or the other. I thought you did a really good job with that.
Well, I appreciate it, because that was definitely a focus for me, because I'm from here. So I think it would be easy for me to be biased, and I like Hank. I met Hank and I've talked to him a lot, and we've,
he's likable.
He is likable, and I like Hank, but I didn't want to, hero worship him, because, like you said, if the audience is being told how to feel or how to think, they don't like that. And so
that's right.
Even if I have an urge to want to take his side, it's not beneficial to the film.
I'm surprised he never tried to run for like city council or something.
That's true. That's a good point. I'll have to ask him about that.
Just because it seems like something he would do, just to be a pain, just get on the board.
Yeah, for sure.
Now about that Dunkin Donuts.
Right. Yeah. Let's revisit that.
Has he ever thought about bringing it? I mean, he missed out on Dunkin', but has he ever tried to do a different type of business or restaurant there?
I don't know. I think all the times that there was that he was looking at doing that, he was approached by people. So I don't know if he's been approached about that property lately, and I don't know if he would sell at this point. He might, but I think
he may be too far in.
Yeah, I think he's got too much worth in the toilets, too much value there now for him, at least. Not necessarily like financially, but he's invested in it emotionally a little bit now. Yeah,
it'd be tough to give it up.
Yeah.
So a couple things, Morgan, before we wrap up. We went through kind of what you're working on next. So where, go through where we can find the movie again and where we can find you on social media.
Okay, yeah, the film's on. I think the best way is go to our website, pottytowndocumentary.com. We have all the links there. It's on iTunes, Apple, it's on Amazon Prime, it's on YouTube, rental, and a couple other Spectrum On Demand, cable company.
Yeah, it's pretty much on everything.
Anywhere you can rent or buy,
to find.
Yeah, it's there. So if you just search Potty Town too on any platform. And I'm not a big social media guy, but I am on Facebook. And I started a Twitter recently. I felt like I should probably be on there. So I have like 5 followers. So if you guys want to follow me, help me out.
Right. That
would be cool.
We're going to try to double that.
Yeah, if I can get doubled, I'll start posting too.
So do you have plans at some point to find a landing spot for the documentary? Once it dies down and the rental part is over, are you in talks with anybody like Vice or anybody to kind of find a home for it?
Well, I think the way it works is, our distributor Gravitas, they're always pitching, always in communication with these companies, like your Hulus and your Netflix.
Well, that's it. You think somebody would want it just as a regular on their streamer or on their Netflix.
I think after seeing the response we've got and how much people are enjoying it, I do think it could I hope it finds a home on there, because I'd like to, like I said, get it to a bigger audience. And so we, fingers crossed, and I know Gravitas is working hard to try to get that.
Well, and if John Oliver's listening, we would like to see, some type of something on his show about this documentary.
Yeah, I should reach out. That was one name I didn't think of, so I'll reach out.
Well, he's always, he likes the small town kind of strange stuff, and this I think would fit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he's up. he's spent time in that area of the country. He's toured around a little bit up where you are. So maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll reach out.
It's got my vote. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Well, Morgan, thank you so much. And yeah, when you get the next project done, you got to come back.
Yeah, for sure. No, this was awesome.
Yeah, this has been a blast. So the movie, the documentary is Potty Town. It's everywhere. So everybody should go and check that out. And it's worth it. We watched it here at the studio. We had a group of us here watching the studio, and we loved it. It got like 10 out of 10 from all of us.
Really? That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, yeah, spread the word. Where are you guys located again?
We're just outside of Charleston, West Virginia.
Okay.
So we're a little bit of ways from you. It'd probably take us, I don't know, 7 or 8 hours to get to where you are. But yeah, we got a studio where we can hold up to about 15 people, but we had about 10 of us, and yeah, it was really good.
Well, if you ever decide to come up and check out the potties in person, hit me up.
I think at some point we have to.
Yeah, let me know. I'll be up here. I'll come with you.
We'll make a day of it.
Yeah, I'll give you a tour.
As long as we can stop by Dunkin, so I can ask. I'll be like, have you guys seen this Potty Town place?
I'm sure they have by now. It's like they're probably hearing about it.
All right, Morgan, hold on one second. All right, so that was director Morgan Elliott. Do yourself a favor and check out Potty Town. He did a really good job on this documentary, and it's a more complicated story than you think it would be. There's he goes into a lot of the small town politics, which if you're from a small town like I am, you know all about that. It's ridiculous. You get a lot of nonsense and a lot of people looking out for their own self-interests. And he doesn't paint it either way, but he definitely puts the facts out there so you can kind of draw your own conclusion. And Hank is a character, so it's kind of worth it just to get to know Hank a little bit. He's pretty interesting. He's a guy that I would not mind spending a couple hours with, over a beer or a sandwich or something and just chatting with him. Pretty interesting guy. So check it out, Potty Town. It's available everywhere. Help support this guy, and his group, his group of friends and this company. They're doing really good work, and I can't wait to check out the Tecmo Bowl documentary as well, which he was helping with. He didn't direct that one, but he was helping with. I think they're doing really good work. Definitely worth checking out. We want to spotlight some of these guys and help them out. So if you're listening, John Oliver, get to it. Let's help this guy out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. We definitely don't take that for granted. We're going to keep trying to bring you fascinating people, famous people that should be famous, but maybe you don't know about them yet. But we'll keep bringing them to you. We're up to, I'm posting episode 437 today. I can't believe it. So, we normally put somewhere between 3 and 5 episodes up every week. And you can find those on our website, audio and video, meistercon.com. So definitely check that out. We're trying to grow our YouTube page. So if you can help us there, subscribe. It's free. You've got 437 episodes. Most of those are interviews. And there's a ton of just terrific people, just like Morgan. So check that out. MeisterCon or YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.